Sometimes the person you trust the most can break you with just a few words, and everything you thought was solid suddenly feels like it was built on lies. My name is Thomas, and this is how my wife's confession about her old boyfriend unraveled the truth about our marriage, and how I made sure she faced the consequences of her betrayal. It all started on what seemed like an ordinary Tuesday evening. My wife, Vanessa, and I sat down for dinner at our kitchen table, the same way we had countless times in our 8 years of marriage. But she was distant, picking at her food, barely looking at me. At first, I assumed she was stressed from work. She had been working late a lot at her marketing job. Is something wrong? I asked gently. Her eyes met mine with a coldness I had never seen before. Do you really want to know? She said flatly. Then she dropped a bombshell. I've been thinking about Brandon. Brandon, her ex-boyfriend from college, the one she dated for 3 years before we met. My stomach sank. Okay, I said carefully. And what about him? I should have married him instead of you. She said it without hesitation, as if she were commenting on the weather. She went on to explain how Brandon had become a successful surgeon, ambitious and driven, while I was just safe and predictable. She compared the life we built, our home, vacations, and financial stability, to what she imagined she could have had with him, and in her eyes, it wasn't enough. It felt like a punch to the gut. 8 years together. And she was admitting she saw me as nothing more than the man she settled for. When I asked where this was coming from, she admitted she'd run into Brandon at a coffee shop recently. He told her about his new house, his thriving practice, his life, and she realized she could have been part of that. That night, I stayed quiet. I finished my dinner, went to bed early, and lay awake replaying her words. The next morning, she acted as if nothing had happened, making coffee, kissing me goodbye, like she hadn't just shattered my trust. But I couldn't ignore it. Over the next few days, I noticed details I'd overlooked before. Her secretive texting, her new wardrobe, the makeup she rarely wore, the frequent late nights at work. I'm not naturally suspicious, but my instincts told me something was off. I started keeping notes on her behavior and checking our finances. That's when I saw charges I didn't recognize. Expensive restaurants, hotel stays, even flowers. And then I found her old laptop tucked away in the closet. She had claimed it was broken, but when I powered it up, it worked fine and was still logged into her email. What I found confirmed everything. Dozens of emails between her and Brandon, spanning months. They weren't just catching up. They were meeting regularly, messaging daily, and planning a future together. In those emails, she trashed me, calling me dull, a man she married only because I was stable after her father passed away. She and Brandon mocked me, laughing about how clueless I was. Worse, they were plotting. She planned to blindside me with divorce papers as soon as Brandon's own divorce was finalized. They underestimated me, though. I saved every message, every receipt, every shred of proof. I even set up a recording device in our living room to catch her admitting everything in her own words. It didn't take long. A few nights later, when I brought up her comments about Brandon again, she admitted outright that she'd chosen the wrong man 8 years ago, that she and Brandon were preparing to start a new life together, and that she had only stayed with me out of comfort and fear of change. Every word was recorded. The next weekend, while she was away, I met with a divorce lawyer. I handed over all my evidence, the emails, financial records, recordings. He told me I had built an airtight case, especially since she had been spending our joint funds on her affair. Following his advice, I secured my share of our savings and prepared my documents. Vanessa thought she would catch me off guard. Instead, I filed for divorce first and had the papers served to her at work. At the same time, I sent some of the most damning emails to her mother, sister, and best friend. Not out of cruelty, but because I knew she would try to twist the story otherwise. I wanted them to know the truth. The fallout was immediate. Vanessa called me in hysterics, demanding to know how I discovered her secret. Her sister reached out, horrified, saying she never imagined Vanessa capable of such deceit. When Vanessa came home, crying and furious, she accused me of humiliating her. I calmly reminded her she had humiliated herself. She tried everything, denials, apologies, blaming Brandon, but it didn't matter anymore. I left that day and stayed with my brother. The divorce process was swift, and with the evidence I collected, the court ruled strongly in my favor. Vanessa was forced to repay the money she had spent on Brandon, and she was denied any spousal support. But her personal losses were worse. Her family turned against her. Her friends were disgusted, and Brandon himself abandoned her once the truth became public. She lost her marriage, her financial security, and even her so-called better option. Months later, she sent me a long text. She was living alone in a small apartment. Brandon had moved away, and she admitted she had made the biggest mistake of her life. She said she should have appreciated the life we had instead of chasing fantasies. I never replied. There was nothing left to say. Now, looking back, I don't feel anger. I feel relief. Relief that I found out the truth before wasting more years, and gratitude that I had the strength to walk away. If I learned anything, it's this. When someone shows you who they really are, believe them. Don't make excuses. Don't settle for being someone's backup plan. You deserve someone who chooses you every single day, not someone who dreams about someone else while pretending to love you.